Sometimes when I sit down thinking about what I shall say in a video, my mind is completely blank. If I paid any attention to the viewing stats, which I don't, on average 2/3 of you are just about to close this video and watch something else. So for the third of you that have kept listening, I want to reveal honestly that despite what I have said and how I've come across in the past, I'm still racked with doubts about my ability to draw, and I wanted to tell you about a recent experience of how I pick myself up again when I have these bouts of doubt. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I tend to attract comments sometimes from people telling me I'm doing something wrong, and the truth is, they're often right. I am doing something wrong because I am not the perfect artist. I'm still learning so much after all. When I came to Japan, it wasn't a half-baked idea. It was literally to start my working life over. No more haphazardly working jobs I had very little interest in. Instead, I wanted to start doing something I will hopefully enjoy and better myself in the process, along with bettering myself in my artwork and interests. The former paid off. I do enjoy my job. Yes, it's woefully paid, as many jobs in Japan now are. Now its bubble days are well behind it, but it's a job I enjoy. The second was tougher, sitting down week in, week out and seeing, despite my best efforts, that my artwork really wasn't great, albeit every single day it improved just a little bit. I mean, sure, you could be kind to me and say, hey, it's not that bad, and I'd be pleased with it as well. But what I saw back then and what I see of my artwork from 2 or 3 years ago now is clearly someone who needed a lot more practice. So that's obviously exactly what I did. And it was tough. I was fighting the initial years' loneliness in Japan, along with seeing my own inadequacy so clearly in front of me. I could see just how much work I needed to put in, and that really began to drive, unfortunately, my alcohol consumption up at the time, because I was scared. What if I fail? What do I do then? You'll be 40 and earning the equivalent of £13,000 a year. Did I make a wise decision coming to Japan? You know, it's really scary facing up to your weaknesses and rather than ignoring them, trying to do something about it. But each time I did that during my first year here in Japan, I just ended up shying away from it, as it was easier just to subdue my mind with a drink. Thankfully, I stopped drinking alcohol by April 2021, and I've not drunk a single drop since then, so my life has improved immeasurably. 564 whole days ago was the last time I had a drink. Well, of alcohol. I may have drunk the odd glass of water since then. And there's no doubt my artwork has improved a lot as a result. But is it perfect? No. I know that. It never will be. Are my poses sometimes a bit off? Yes, they are. Is it the case that sometimes my work shows signs of being a little bit rushed, or a bit unusual, or maybe my manga toning looks a bit half-baked? Absolutely yes, to all three. But am I gradually equivocating my soul's essential desires? Absolutely yes as well. The other day when I finished this piece you're seeing now, I received another of these kinds of comments encouraging improvement, essentially saying that if I used an app to help me, I could draw better essentially. And actually, I feel that it was a really good suggestion. Usually I find myself using a mirror and posing myself to help understanding, but with my broken wrists, this was a pose that was impossible to observe as I can barely bend my wrist right now. So I did my best. I accepted the suggestion, just noting the fact that this was drawn with a broken wrist. The last comment referred to the fact that I had come to Japan to improve my drawing, which was absolutely correct, and that if I used this app they were suggesting, I could draw more attractive pictures. I can't deny that I got a little bit stung at the use of the word attractive, but bear in mind that this was me translating from Japanese, which sometimes doesn't quite align with how we interpret the words in English. I sat and thought about this for a while and observed the example that they had posted. I still think it was a good suggestion to use the app. I still think I need to improve my posing after all. I am a self-taught person with 0 qualifications and merit to my name. But then I looked at the finished result, this in 8 colours, with a trackpad and a broken wrist. And she's my Saki. A young 5-year-old Saki, witnessing something that will break her heart. I'm not trying to make her attractive per se, and appreciate the sentiment that attractive probably means to draw better poses, but I still find myself feeling, I like how I draw Saki. I like how I draw my style of manga characters. I remember sitting down on those long lonely nights, using sheet after sheet of paper designing these characters until I stumbled across the way that I want to draw the eyes, for example. And I thought, I don't want my characters to look like cookie cutter shonen manga with larger eyes and shoulders almost as narrow as the width of the head. But that said, I do think they are right with the hand pose, for example. But I can fix that, and I will in time. That's just all part of improvement. But these sentiments do still sow doubts in my mind, like, why do I put myself out there, like literally right now in this YouTube video, if I'm not the finished article? The truth is, I will never be, and none of us ever will be, I don't think either. I worry sometimes that maybe I humiliate myself sometimes to those who are genuine through and through character artists, coming across like I'm saying, I know what I'm doing, here's how to do it. But the truth is, to be honest, is that I know what I'm doing for me, not how you should do things. That sounds a bit confusing, but in my head I know where I'm going, I guess. If anything, there is a very definite conscious reaction to popular shonen manga styles in my work, where especially Saki is very purposely designed as a slightly abrasive tomboy, and I may spoil it for you now, but she won't be tamed by a man and transform into a delicate little flower. Instead, she's more likely to throw a punch if you back her into a corner unfairly. So if I untangle this, what I'm saying is that if you have doubt about your work, then so do I, all of the time. But if I sit down and think about it and compartmentalise the sentiments, it can make more sense. There is a very real practical need, in my case, to improve through practice, my posing for example. But then, when it comes to attractiveness, well, then that's in the beholder. For me, Saki wasn't meant to be an attractive character or sexually appealing for a shonen manga audience. She was meant to be a tough human being who will think of nothing of cutting her hand open while skating. She will endure the pain and get up time and time and time again to try again. For me, that's what makes an attractive character, not necessarily her sexual attributes. And ultimately, I come down to this thing that helps pick myself up all the time myself, when I'm racked with my own doubts on ability. This isn't only about being good at drawing, this is about in time communicating essential things from my soul, and it's better that they are out in the world imperfect as they are, as I sit in the cold in my sparsely decorated apartment in Japan, than they are sat decaying in my imagination as I eat the self-same sandwich meal deal day in, day out, bleakly staring at yet another Microsoft Excel spreadsheet in my old life.